Sanctuary was founded in 1980 by Executive Director Pat Craig. And he was 19 at the time. And his focus was really on zoo surplus animals. A lot of zoos were overbreeding so they could have little ones on display for people to come and see them, kind of a public draw. But when they got bigger and bigger and bigger, they'd be kind of tucked back behind the scenes because there really wasn't the space for these larger animals that got big. They wanted to put the little ones back up front. So it was kind of a vicious cycle. And a lot of animals were being just euthanized once they got too big. The private sector as well. A lot of animals were privately owned. Maybe one animal will not change the world, but surely for that animal, their world will change forever. That was kind of the philosophy he adapted. That's still our philosophy now.
I started volunteering in 2012. Basically, my claim to fame is that I manage 150 or more unpaid employees. So I try to keep all of our volunteers happy and doing the things we need them to do, taking care of business. Most I get to do with animal care is to go out and do things like we're doing today, pulling tumbleweeds and kind of tidying up the sanctuary. That's what I tend to help with the most. And on the walkway as well. I do a lot of public relations up on the walkway.
My name is Suzanne Cobble and I'm a volunteer here, and I've been here going on my 7th year this fall. We do many things. We do education, which is speaking to our guests on the captive wildlife crisis, explaining what we do actually, and we rescue and we give these guys, I always say room service here is impeccable. The animals that we get come from horrific situations. Educate our guests on just the state of where these animals come from and the need for a place like our sanctuary. I always have to keep up with things because things change so much, but I think an animal in captivity, that pretty well speaks for itself. No matter where the sanctuary rescues from, they're all in abusive situations, and I'm always asking questions with a lot of the staff members and volunteers that have been here longer than I, because I never quit learning here. There's always something new to learn. We do also education. We also do feeding. Like today we're doing tumbleweed patrol. So we do a variety of things here. We help. What amazes me is how we feed so many animals out of a small building that we do called the CNC.
Well, what we're doing today is we're making food that potentially could go to all the animals. Right now we're sorting out meat between red meat, poultry, pork, and we separate that, and then that's eventually ground up together and made into blocks that then go out and feed the animals. Well, we'll be feeding tigers, lions, wolves, jaguars, fox, bobcats. Most of the bears are still hibernating right now. The bears are omnivores like we are, so they would eat pretty much anything humans would eat. They get a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. Once the food is ground, we make it into stainless steel blocks, and those are frozen. And then we pop them out of the buckets and put them in 40-gallon barrels that go out into some of the four-wheelers or bear trucks, whatever we're feeding that day. And then the animal care staff will drive out to whatever habitat, wherever they're feeding that day. And then that food is either tossed over fences, or we might have to drive actually into the habitat and place the food in the habitats.
We rescue from apartments, garages, backyards, basements, horse trailers. And you take this out. Well, I sponsored 2 animals. I have a soft spot for black leopard named Jumanji. He has since gotten pretty popular with a lot of people. He's actually had a great video that came out about him as well. He just has got such an incredible resilience, and he's beautiful. He was rescued from kind of a roadside zoo in Ohio that was pretty rough. He was such very small confining cages. He actually had a lot of skin burns because he was laying in his own excrement all the time. So he was pretty. He blossomed and great. He has since moved on to a huge habitat, a huge bridge. Inclusive at first, but now he lives with 4 other leopards, which I don't know if he ever had contact with them before. Bolivia passed a law that pretty much said hunting animals for entertainment purposes and gave all these different acts a year to comply. Well, after a year, 8 circuses did not want to comply, and there was 25 lions that were all ages, from very, very young to very old. They needed a home, otherwise the future was looking pretty grim for them. So they got the Bolivian Lion House built, which is actually a smaller version of this structure. It's the original version. It's called Clear Span, this fabric is. He wanted something that let in sunshine, but didn't let the animals feel like they were indoors as much. But we wanted them to be warm because they were coming from Bolivia to Colorado January. So we wanted them to still kind of feel warm. Then eventually they all kind of graduated to 80 acres worth of habitats, kind of divvied up between the prides. Leave behind kind of a past life. So a lion that spent its life in a horse trailer, it may not have ever seen a lion before. So we have to try out different chunks of land that are a little bit bigger for them. And then the goal is for them to be on big acreage habitat. And The majority of the sanctuary is large acreage habitat, 5 to 25 acres. You see the squares around us. That's about the size of a lot of the cages were. Actually is a certain lineage that can grow. Basically in this really grungy, gross cage in the basement of a gene factory in Mexico. She was just a novelty of the company. So Kata got here, and I think partially because the medication she got and the hormonal imbalance, though that mane just blossomed. All lions have the ability to grow that mane, but only in certain, it kind of depends on the genes. She just blossomed. She looks like a young male, but she's an old female. She's doing great. Her body's pretty frail from being on concrete her whole life, but she loves to roar and talk. She often initiates the roaring in the lion house, which is really cool. You can tell she's pretty interested in a young male lion across the way named Bob. She's got a bit of a crush on him, and many evenings she spends outside staring him down and then trying to talk to him. It's sick, it's part of what's called pay to play, where cubs are basically just kind of bred in a cycle, and then they're kind of forced to go swimming in pools with people. People pay a certain exorbitant amount of money for half an hour, and then they kind of just swim with the tigers. And then when they get too big, the process repeats with another one. I'm not sure what happens to the big guys. Probably more of a breeding cycle, but it's pretty much just forcing them to swim. Tigers do enjoy water. We see that here, but it's not the same thing. I don't know how many places in the world. I know a place in Florida has been shut down because of that. We help with it that way. We get some of those tigers here. Nature doesn't need us. We need nature. And we're definitely, I think, even more separated.
Actually, what I learned when I first came out is humility for me. The dedication of all of the staff, volunteers, animal caregivers is impeccable. I can't say enough. It's not what I do for the sanctuary, it's honestly what the sanctuary does for me. It's a heaven on earth to see when an animal can come in and have a second chance at life, and it's so humbling to be a part of something that's so big here in Colorado. It's just, I'm awestruck by it.
If kindness and just general good was like a tangible light, I think that this would be such a shining beacon. You can probably see it from space. There's so much good here all the time, and it's family, man. Everyone here, welcome center, snack bar. I mean, everyone. People are out there driving the food and getting it. Animal care. Everybody. It's a big family, and everyone's here for the right reasons. Everyone's here because they want to be a part of it and make these animals' lives better. Speak on behalf of them. And it's an honor to be a part of that.
Been volunteering for 7 years. I came out here as a visitor the week they opened to the public. So our whole family has been a supporter for years. I love it. This is my happy place every week. I come out almost every Saturday. I work in an office in a cubicle during the week, and I love being out here and getting dirty and doing something physical. And this is as much a sanctuary for me as it is for the animals. I love it here.